Hi guys. It's Jack from Nerds Club here. Welcome to the newest episode of Game Monday. Today we gonna talk about history of games, game consoles and computers. First graphic game was made by American physic and scientist William Higginbotham in 1958. It was called Tennis for Two and was based on classic tennis game. It was displayed on oscilloscope and there was possibility to play for two in local mode. Next video game called Space War came after 3 years, in 1961. It was made by Steve Russell, and like the last one it was for two-player in local mode. Goal of the game was shooting to your enemies by using a spaceship. The game is recognized as the first vector game. The person responsible for the creation of the first console is Ralph Baer. In 1972 he made Magnavox Odyssey, which started the first generation of gaming consoles. In the same year Nolan Bushnell copied the ideas of Baer's and Higginbotham's and made it to one by creating Pong, first game on slot machines. In the same year Bushnell also was found the first big company that made a lot for game industry, and it was Atari. They were making few kinds of games, 8, 16 and 32 bytes. Atari also made the games that were in different genres like racing, track 10 and hunting sharks, Maneater. Console that started the second generation of consoles was RCA Studio 2, premiered in 1976. In next year's debuts also had consoles like Fairchild Channel F, Atari 2600, Atari 5200, ColecoVision. Space Invaders was released in 1978 slot machine game, designed by Tomohiro Nishikato. This game was one of the precursors of modern computer games and contributed to their transformation from curiosity to global industry. Space Invaders was very popular. The release of the game resulted in short-term shortage of 100 yen coins in Japan, and by 2007 title made $500 million. The Guinness Book of Records lists the game as the top arcade game, the most important slot machine game. Although the games were very successful on consoles and machines, it could not be said about desktops. They were expensive, large and had little computing power. The premieres of smaller ZX Spectrum and Commodore 64 computers turned out to be a breakthrough. Their success and the failure of the Atari 5200 was reason of the Atari's fall. It all happened in 1982. 80s were also time when all the 2D legendary games were released. In 1980 company called Namco made Pac-Man. Goal of the game was to collect money and don't get caught by ghosts. At the beginning it was game for slot machines, but then it was converted to other platforms such as consoles. In 1981 has been released Donkey Kong. The game tells the story of non-name guy who's trying to save lady, and his main enemy is Donkey Kong, Big Gorilla. In the 90s, less focus began on gaming equipment in exchange for the production of worldwide gaming titles. Thanks to Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum, games on personal computers were taken more seriously. Legendary 3D games began to emerge. For example, first-person shooters such as Doom in 1993 or adventure games such as Tomb Raider in 1996. In the meantime, fourth and fifth generation consoles have been created, such as Sega Mega Drive from Nintendo or the first PlayStation from Sony. Developers focused on 3D and multiplayer games. The game model remains trendy until today. The next, sixth generation of video game consoles was opened by Sega Dreamcast from 1998, which, as the first of the console platforms, enabled gameplay via the internet and introduced memory cards to save the state of the game. However, the Dreamcast overshadowed the PlayStation 2 console released in 2000, which offered backward compatibility with games on the original PlayStation, and until 2005 it achieved sales of 90 million copies. Released in 2001, Xbox by Microsoft, which introduced the Xbox Live website, and GameCube with high technical capabilities at that time. Before the last, the seventh generation of consoles was presented in 2006 with the premiere of such equipment as PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. From November 11, 2006, over 80 million Sony devices were sold. For comparison, the Xbox 360, despite its premiere in November 2005, reached a similar figure according to Microsoft's October data. The sales results of the Microsoft and Sony consoles were not as good as the Wii from Nintendo, which sold in 100 million copies from 2006 to 2014. Hi guys. It's Jack here once again. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like it and subscribe, and let us know in comments what do you think and what would you like to see on our channel, cause we are just getting started.